This is the YouTube edition of my book, A Course in Miracles Workbook Nuggets, which is a study aid for the course's workbook for students. I'll begin by reading my book's commentary on today's lesson over a visual of the book's text. I'll then return with some further thoughts on the lesson, which are only included in this YouTube edition of my book. Today's lesson is part of a 10-lesson group that runs from lesson 271 through lesson 280, each of which relates to the Christ as understood in the Course. I'll be repeating this same introduction for each of lessons 271 through 280. So you can skip past this introduction in the future if you like. Timestamps taking you directly to today's Workbook Nuggets commentary and to my further comments are provided in the description below. In the section entitled, What is the Christ?, which precedes these 10 lessons, we are told that Christ, quotes, is the capital S self we share, uniting us with one another and with God as well, end quote. And we are told that, quote, this is the only part of you that has reality in truth. The rest is dreams. Yet will these dreams be given unto Christ, to fade before his glory and reveal your holy self, the Christ, to you at last, end quote. Today's lesson from my book and my further thoughts, which are only contained in this YouTube edition of the book, follow. A link to the book on Amazon.com is provided below. Lesson number 280, October 7. What limits can I lay upon God's Son? We are not what we appear to be. It is as simple as that. It is true that our ordinary consciousness shows us something about ourselves, but it is not a complete picture of what we are. And we know that. Science confirms it. We just don't focus on it. The Course is helping you to focus on what you really are. The distractions of everyday life are just that, distractions. The title of today's lesson is, What Limits Can I Lay Upon God's Son? The short answer is none. But we think we have limited the Son, or child of God, to a body and an ego. But it need not be like this. The key to our escape is given to us in the first sentence of today's prayer. Speaking directly to the Father, we pray, quote, today, let me give honor to your Son, for thus alone I find the way to you, end quote. We find our way to God, we find our way to salvation by honoring the Son, that is, the one self which we all share. In other words, we need to remember who and what we are. We need to remember that we are the Son. Yes, this means leaving the ego behind. What you had always thought to be the elusive I, who looked out at the world from somewhere in your head. But your ego was, and never will be, the real you. So this is not a sacrifice or loss. it is growth. You are growing into something larger, your real self. Was it a loss when you grew from childhood to your present adult self? You no longer see yourself or the world as a child. But do you feel this a loss? The Course will never ask you to make a sacrifice. It only wants to help you to grow and to remember who and what you are. As the lesson tells us, the only way to remember who you are is to give up the ego, the child, so that the Son of God, the adult, may again breathe the air of its home in heaven. When all the children's toys have at last been put away, you shall again breathe the air of heaven and see its light. All that is needed is a single change of perception. But without this change of perception, a child of this world you will remain. And a child of this earth you will die. But remember, you don't need to achieve or find anything. You have not been given a task. Your real self is already there, waiting to be seen. You can just not see it with all the flashing lights and piercing alarms of the ego. Wake from the ego's illusion and return home as the mature child of God you are. Wake and be at peace.